In this video, I want to talk about the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch has only been out for 10 years. It feels like it's been a lot longer than that. And a lot of people would say that the Apple Watch has actually changed their life. And I would partially agree in my case as well. In this video, I want to cover a bunch of reasons why the Apple Watch has quietly changed my life as it's advanced over the years. So first up, and probably the most obvious one, is fitness and activity. So having the Apple Watch on your wrist is like you always have a little motivator on your wrist telling you to move. I actually used to struggle with my weight, and I made a video about this on this channel talking about how the Apple Watch helped me lose a lot of weight just because of the motivation it gave me. And I'll have it linked down below in the description if you want to watch that. But just having the Apple Watch always on me, tracking my calories, telling me to move, and just giving me a metric of how much I'm moving, and previously before I started to lose the weight, showing me how sedentary I was, it really is that motivation that you need, and it's always on you. And it's not in your face, it's not too much, it'll just give you a subtle tap or a subtle hint saying that you need to get moving. So I feel like just always having this on your wrist is really going to make an impact on your life. Just seeing the visual metric of the rings, it kind of gamifies fitness, and I've said this before, but just closing your rings, it's just so satisfying. And when you do it, it just feels so good knowing that you closed your rings and you also did something good for yourself as well. Next up at number 2 is sleep tracking. So I've noticed since Apple added sleep tracking to the Apple Watch, my sleep has actually gotten better. And that's because, number 1, it just tells you how long you've been asleep. So I'm now able to establish a much more consistent bedtime routine, which I didn't have before. In the Apple Watch sleep app, you can set up a schedule. And your Apple Watch is going to go into what's called a wind down mode. So you can set it up about 15 or 30 minutes before bedtime. Your Apple Watch is going to tell you that it's almost time for bed. And just having that little hint kind of reminds you that you set up this sleep routine to get better sleep, to get more consistent. And over time, it is going to help improve your sleep, at least in my case. And in a future software update after Apple added the initial sleep tracking, they also added different stages of sleep. So you can see if you're in deep sleep or REM sleep or light sleep. And just seeing how well of a sleep you got the previous night is a really good motivator on your wrist to try to get a better rest at night. Number 3 is keeping track of your heart health. This is something that I never even considered before I put an Apple Watch on my wrist. And this was one of the number 1 features when the Apple Watch first ever came out, that there was a heart rate monitor on your wrist. And as the Apple Watch has evolved throughout the 10 years it's been around, the heart capabilities have gotten a lot better. So one of the features I use every day, which was one of the original features, is resting heart rate, because this can be a very good indicator of your overall health. And as I go to the gym and try to get healthier and healthier on my fitness journey, I want to lower my resting heart rate. And as you make progress and as you start to get stronger, as your heart gets stronger, and if you are losing weight, you're going to notice that your resting heart rate is going down. And it's a really cool indicator to see right on your wrist in real time over the weeks as they go on. You can see your resting heart rate get lower and lower. And since the initial Apple Watch, I believe it started in the Series 4, Apple has added some more features in terms of your heart health. So now you can take an ECG on your watch. I think all Apple Watches can do this except for the Apple Watch SE. All you have to do is put your finger on the crown of the Apple Watch, and it's going to close the circuit, the electrical circuit in your body, and it's going to allow you to take a 1-lead ECG. Of course, it's not going to be as good as if you got an ECG in a clinic, but this has actually helped save people's lives. And this is one of the reasons I'm making this video, is because in some people's case, the Apple Watch has literally changed their life, because they took an ECG on their watch and they found out that they have AFib, or atrial fibrillation. And that's something they didn't even know that they had before. And now because of this piece of technology on your wrist, they're now able to take that ECG that they took on the watch, show it to their doctor, and they can get their diagnosis for AFib, which is going to help improve or save their life. And also, one other thing I should mention for the heart is Apple has added heart rate notifications. So if your heart rate gets either too high or too low, it can send you an alert, and you can choose which exact rate is too high or too low for your body. And this can be good, for example, detecting a heart attack. If you're just sitting and you're sedentary and your Apple Watch knows that, if your heart rate goes too high, it's going to give you an alert, and it's going to ask if you are okay or if you want it to call 911 for you. And this also has saved people's lives when someone was having a heart attack and they didn't even know it. Next up at number 4, this one isn't even nearly as heavy as the other topics I just talked about, but it's notifications. Before the Apple Watch, I found that I was on my phone a lot, And I feel like as I kept getting more and more an Apple Watch fan as the years went on, I was just on my phone a lot less. I'm at the point now where this is a cellular Apple Watch Ultra, and whenever I leave the house, I'm not even bringing my iPhone with me just because I know if anything important comes up, I can always be reached on my Apple Watch, whether it's a text message or a phone call. So I just feel like I'm reaching for my phone a lot less. And if it's a notification, I can simply see it and dismiss it instead of picking up my phone and being sucked into TikTok as many people do. Number 5 is keeping track of your overall well-being. And specifically, I want to talk about the relatively new Vitals app that Apple has added. So this is going to take all of your metrics overnight if you use it for sleep tracking, such as time of sleep, wrist temperature, resting heart rate, in my case, blood oxygen, even though I know it's not available in the United States. It's going to take all of those metrics and tell you if those were within normal range for you. And if they were not, you're able to see that, and the Apple Watch is going to tell you that your overnight vitals were not normal. And in some cases, this can be an early warning that you may be getting sick. So this is a really great way to get ahead of illness if your Apple Watch is telling you that your vitals are out of sync. And this also goes beyond just tracking your overnight vitals, because I believe at the same time Apple released the Vitals app, they also came out with a feature called Training Load. So whenever you work out, you can put in the Apple Watch how hard you believe that workout was for you. And your Apple Watch is going to tell you if you are above, below, or sustained at your recommended training load. And if you are above your training load, that may also sync up with your overnight vitals being a bit out of sync. So it's kind of nice seeing that metric on your Apple Watch, knowing that if you train too hard in the gym, it's going to have an impact on your body, and the actual measurements coming from the Apple Watch can back that up. Next, at number 6, is the Apple Watch has made my mornings so much smoother. I've mentioned this a million times in previous videos, but because I use the Apple Watch to track my sleep and also as an alarm, I never have to wake up to an annoying alarm on my iPhone ever again, because the Apple Watch simply taps me awake on my wrist. And waking up with the Apple Watch alarm compared to the annoying iPhone alarm is just something that you have to experience for yourself. And waking up is just so much better with the Apple Watch. It's just something you have to try. Next, for number 7, is I don't always need my phone. And I kind of mentioned this in a previous section, but I'll just cover it again because I think it's so important. I think with everyone being addicted to their phones now in 2025, it's so important to not have your phone on you sometimes. If you only want to be contacted for an emergency or something urgent, it's just so nice, especially if you have the cellular Apple Watch, where you can leave the house, you can leave your phone behind, and no matter what happens, your watch is always going to have a cellular connection. So if you need to reach someone, or if someone needs to reach you, you're always going to have that capability with the Apple Watch on your wrist. And on top of that, if you're just sitting at home and you realize you've been on your phone too much that day, and you just want to spend more time with a loved one or a spouse, you can put your phone away knowing that your Apple Watch is still going to give you the important notifications. It's really important though in the Apple Watch app to filter which notifications come to your watch, because you don't want Instagram notifications and TikTok alerts coming to your Apple Watch. So it's really important to filter what information comes to your Apple Watch so it doesn't distract you. And next, at number 8, is peace of mind. Whenever I have my Apple Watch on my wrist, I know that I'm going to be safe all the time. So what do I mean by that? Well, I guess it doesn't really matter as much for me because I'm young, but I want you to picture someone who's, I don't know, like 70 years old and they're out shoveling their driveway in the winter. Imagine they slip and fall and knock themselves unconscious. That could be catastrophic. Well, there are stories of people who have slipped and fell and knocked themselves unconscious, but they had an Apple Watch on their wrist, and the Apple Watch detected that they fell. But not only did it detect that they fell, it also detected that they weren't moving after the fall. And the Apple Watch went ahead and called 911 for them automatically. So this feature can literally save lives. And there's also a new feature which is relatively new, which is car crash detection. It's also available in the iPhones as well, but it's also on the Apple Watch. So if you're out without your iPhone, you're still going to be able to have that protection. If you're in a car crash, the Apple Watch is going to be able to detect the instant change in G-force, and it's going to know that you're in a car crash. And the exact same way with fall detection, if you are not moving after it detects that car crash, it's going to call 911 for you. And then the final thing I just want to mention with the Apple Watch, these are not really as important as the other ones, is just the convenience features. Having an Apple Watch on your wrist is just so convenient, and you'll notice that people that have an Apple Watch or own an Apple Watch, they usually wear it every single day. And that's because there's a lot of really useful features that people just can't live without. For example, I use Apple Pay exclusively on my watch. It's so convenient just to double tap the side button on my watch and I can instantly pay for a transaction. I don't have to take out my phone, I don't have to take out my wallet because my credit card is always authorized on my wrist, and all I have to do is double tap the side button and that's it. I also really enjoy streaming music on my Apple Watch, and I do this every time I go to the gym. So because my Apple Watch is a cellular model, it can connect to an LTE tower, and I'm able to stream anything from Apple Music. So I can leave my iPhone at home, I can take my AirPods, and I'm wearing my watch to the gym, and that's literally all I need. My Apple Watch is going to track my workout, and it's also going to be streaming Apple Music and sending that audio signal over Bluetooth to my headphones. It's very futuristic, it's very cool knowing that you don't need your giant phone at the gym whenever you just want to listen to music. And of course, there's other things I could mention, like the nice ability to quickly glance at widgets on the watch, and they always get software updates every single year, and the watches are water resistant and they can be dive computers. There's a million things I could go into, but now I want to ask you, I want to pass the question off to you. What is one feature of your Apple Watch that you could not live without? Let us know in the comments down below. And that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like and subscribe for more content like this. My name is Michael with IDB, and I'll see you in the next video.